funny. It's a lot. This is also it's so subjective what people think of
Yeah,
her choices and Nick's choices, or Robert's choices, where people there's so many guys who see this movie and they're like, why is she giving this guy a chance, man? Like, why, like in
hmm
what universe does that guy get that many chances? And as a
totally.
girl who has friends dating, you're like, in many universes, your friends are giving guys way too many chances. That's like,
Listen to me. Call it a night.
Hey, do we want to do this? This is the worst life decision I've ever made.
Susanna, how are you doing?
hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Trying to process the movie, actually. So this is good.
Great. I was hoping you would.
There you go. Wow. There's so many questions I had while I'm watching it, literally scene to scene. It's like my list is growing in my head of things. First of all, I think the best thing I did is not look at the trailer or read much of the synopsis. I just kind of delve into it, unexpectedly, and I was plenty surprised. I thought it might be a horror. There were creepy elements to it, but I was cracking up. I was so involved. I felt it was a romantic movie in so many ways, like a romantic drama that we need these days because we don't seem to have many. This was a genre bending twist of all. Was that intentional from the beginning to make you think that different scenes are literally different kind of themes of the film?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wanted the experience of watching this film to be like the experience of dating somebody new, where you have no idea where it's going. You don't know whether the person is like an axe murderer or the love of your life. They could be either. You're just trying to piece it together, and the story is confusing, and it sort of like reels you in, and you can't look away from your phone, and you can't stop projecting about it, but actually you have no idea where you're headed. And that's kind of what I wanted to capture here.
As someone who dates a lot, or attempts to date, mostly through swiping, this seems familiar. I can see both perspectives here and understand. I'm sure I've been in one or two situations here that these characters are in too. Um, Based on experience, because this feels so true to life. Like sometimes you see movies dating and it's like, I'm in it right now, and it doesn't feel this way.
Not really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, this one felt very authentic, and very modernly authentic to kind of the day and age of dating we're in too, with kind of the digital age of dating too, and just the way society is now. How much was this? Where'd you get sort of the input? Because I feel like this is kind of dating for everyone, but especially someone in their 20s and potentially someone close to Robert's age like I am.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle Ashford, who wrote the script, I mean, really, Kristen started it with her short story. There were so many details in there that felt like there's no way the story was written by somebody other than a person who has been dating in the age of smartphones. Like, you're just like, that's what I think really captivated people about it. It was so specific and so uncomfortably relatable, Kristen's story. And then Michelle really, she talked to a lot of people in her life. Like, she talked to her niece, she talked to people who are like that age out there, and tried to just sort of get a sense of what it's like now, and used all of that too to sort of flesh out the scenes around Margot and Robert's story, just to make it feel really lived in and really specific. And then, I think if you're out there dating at any age using the same apps, you're kind of paralyzed and stuck in the same routines. Like, it's not even just for people in their 20s. It's like
Totally, yeah.
this situation happens at any age that you're out there trying to find love or something, connection. So yeah, I mean, and then we really I tried to crowdsource anecdotes from people that could help everybody get ready to film the film. So for instance, like, I asked all of my friends, can you anonymously send me a cat person story from your life where you've been him or her or someone was something? Send it to me. And then I put them all in a PDF and I sent them to Nick and Emilia to read. And we all talked about the book club. So it's a little bit like you're cringing, you're laughing, you're feeling uncomfortable as you're reading all these stories, but also you see yourself in one or both of the people in everybody's anecdotes. And I think that made everybody feel really close to each other, related to each other, and like they wanted to, to really make it
I
make
feel
it together.
it's so true to life. When we go out, when as friends or with our close people, we talk, and especially if you're saying, everyone's always curious about someone's dating life, especially if they're single. I feel like, the ones who are in good relationships or long-term relationships are curious what their single friends are doing, and vice versa. And it's just always a big topic of conversation. I feel like in today's day and age, like dating stories have become the it conversation starter with a lot of people. And I can see these characters kind of having that, Margot and her friend, and Robert doesn't really have many people to bounce off things to, but that's true to life too, I'm sure, in some cases too. That sort of thing, like I feel dating is just such a big part of our human, like finding ourselves too. And I feel like these two actors and Nicholas and Emilia really nailed these people, because I feel like they're people. How much was it in the script, and how much did you kind of let them, they seem to have a great feel for who these people were, let them kind of improvise and find their own way into these characters?
Yeah, I mean, the starting place really was that they both really connected to these roles. Like they really wanted to play these roles. They really wanted to meditate on these issues. Emilia had a million stories, some of her own and then some from family and friends. Like she really wanted to inhabit this person and bring all of that to bear. And, Nick too, it's like he wanted to talk about these ideas too. And they both were really excited to do that by playing these parts. So it helped to have them they were constantly generating ideas and brainstorming and talking about their own lives, and they were really connected to begin with. So they connected to the script to such a degree that they weren't coming in saying, we want to change things, we want to, add this or that. But when we were there, we talked a lot. Like we went through the script moment to moment and talked about the subtext of every interaction between them. And then if anything felt like it wasn't completely authentic to the characters, we couldn't find a way to make it feel really lived in for them, we would talk to Michelle about changing it. But really what we shot is pretty much what Michelle wrote. They're just little tweaks here and there that come from fusing a character on the page with an actual human being playing the part. And then, at the end of every setup, I'll always give actors a freebie take where they can do whatever they want. They can say different words, they can act differently, they can have a completely, bonkers reaction to something. And it's less about finding alternative jokes and more about just giving people that sense of spontaneity with each other, where you really do end up using mostly it's for the reactions. When people are talking and they don't know what's coming next, there's a certain level of, you can't fake that. So we always did that at the end. And sometimes really funny moments came out of it, hesitation, weird reactions and listening faces and, all of that stuff, stammering, all that stuff that you wouldn't necessarily like infuse into a script, but sometimes is the best, most human moment in your scene,
I feel that sex scene. First of all, I've never seen one like that. I thought not only was it drawn out long enough, because usually it's like, okay, and it's pushed aside. This one was like you went into these thoughts of these characters, especially Margot's. That scene, how do you set it up as a director? Because I felt it was very imaginatively authentic. I'd imagine someone was in similar situations in real life, probably, or someone who's watching like, oh my God, I can relate to this. But also to hear the inner thoughts, I thought that was really important, because you really saw the sides, the kind of things that go in over your head. It's not always what you intend it to be or you imagine it to be, but I thought that was really an important scene and a perspective giver.
Yeah. So Michelle's script contained that talking to herself, leaving her body thing. That was always something we talked about. We talked a lot about the subconscious and psychology, and how sometimes when you're in a situation that you don't want to be present for, you kind of leave your body. And people talk about that with trauma, but also I think it can exist other times too. And when you're really disconnected from something that you're doing, you can kind of like be watching yourself from afar. And we wanted to capture that feeling, which I think a lot of people have had in their life, you know, one way or another have just been, they're watching themselves in a situation and they're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
So we wanted that to be part of it. And then, you know, it was really just trying to figure out moment to moment how it was sort of the only way we were going to be able to understand Margot's thoughts, because it's a scene about people not communicating. It's a scene about two people who are not saying what they're thinking. So the only way you're going to get that is either a voiceover, or you're going to actually have her have to confront the judgmental version of herself. So to create that distance where you can have the sort of banter and conflict with the inner voices in your head, you kind of needed to make Margot another Margot who's arguing with herself. So that, I thought that was a brilliant device on Michelle's part. And it just was a great way to sort of to make the point that she's really not integrated into her she's not operating from a place of authenticity with her communication, and that is part of the problem. It's not the whole problem, because he's also not operating completely authentically, and they're doing a lot of projecting, assuming, and lashing out. But in the end, you know, they're so lost in their heads at a time that they're supposed to be connecting with each other. They're the least connected, and that's sort of an irony that I think is relatable to a lot of people in today's dating
Totally.
and sex world.
I found Margot so admirable in a way too, because like in today's dating world, if you sometimes, because there's so many options, right? So people always think the grass is green on the other side. She gives this guy chances after chances and see his flaws, and she still sees the good in him potentially, or even if it's her image that she has of him. But I found her to be like, wow, I thought it was a noble sort of thing, that she just doesn't quit on someone in a way, you know, and gives them opportunities to show maybe the best side of them, you know. And sometimes people are awkward or are uncomfortable in dating, and things don't come out the way they want to, or, you know, like I said, it's easy to be smooth on text, but then you're, you know, your kind of true self in person. But she doesn't give up. And I feel like in a lot of cases, people would automatically like, nope, next, or just like not even deal with it. I found that kind of admirable, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a lot. This is also it's so subjective what people think of her choices and Nick's choices, or, you know, Robert's choices, where there's so many guys who see this movie and they're like, why is she giving this guy a chance, man? Like, why, you know, like in what universe does that guy get that many chances? And as a girl who has friends dating, you're like, in many universes, your friends are giving guys way too many chances. You know, that's such a common thing. You're constantly seeing your friends really, the strength of your desire to have something work out sometimes far exceeds the actual potential something has. And there is a side of all of us that's like, has to believe that there's a connection that is possible. I mean, we're raised on these love stories. We read these love stories. We want to connect. We're lonely. We want to try to believe in love. And so we'll kind of trick our brains into, you know, like tampering with the evidence and making it so that we need to keep going. Until it's too late, until we've like walked upstairs in the proverbial like house in Scream or whatever. You know what I mean?
Two side notes here. Was this filmed in the now shut down Regency Valley Theater, by the way? Because it looks so much like a theater I used to go at, like $4 movies there.
It was filmed at the Quad in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Okay. It looked like this movie in the Valley that I was so familiar with, movie theater. It just had that kind of like an old, you know, local theater sort of vibe to it. I thought it was a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious, as a director, did it make you ever think, how long would Robert last with you on a date? You know what I mean? Like, would he even, if he somehow got to it through his texting, would you just call it quits midway through, or maybe kind of be like Margot and give him
Totally depends on what period of my life that you're asking that question. At Margot's age, I probably would have proceeded. Oh, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know that I would have been as bold as she is. I don't know. I think the thing about this story is that we can all relate to going way too far down the road with the wrong people. And then we can always look back and look at all the snapshots of the moments that we remember that we should have gotten out, but we didn't. I mean, nothing is more relatable than that. We all stay in things longer than we should in hindsight, you know? And depending on our baggage, we always give people the benefit of the doubt. I would have given him the benefit of the doubt and found a way to like hold myself responsible for everything he did wrong, probably way too long.
See, that's smart. You know, that's ultimately what this movie is. It's a perspective movie, and it makes you think. At least it made me think on the inside of my experiences, what I would do. It's a very kind of intuitive movie, and not only interesting, but I had myself thinking and wanting to discuss it, because this is a conversation starter. And I think the best sort of movies are conversation starters or self-reflections, or potentially even lessons that you can take away and learn. So I think this movie delivered on all of those occasions.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you liked it and connected
Absolutely.
with it.
Love the actors too. So you had two great actors to start with. I was sold from the beginning, but just all around awesome movie. And by the way, I just got to tell you, Booksmart is one of my favorite movies ever. So uh, I'm always waiting to see what's next from you.
Thank you so much for saying that. That means a lot. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully do this again.
Yeah, for sure. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Susanna.
Bye.